Another year, and what is going on? Another 49er takes a bullet in San Francisco. Luckily, Keion White, okay. Kyle Shanahan, Fred Warner, and George Kittle. Niners not in the Super Bowl, but they were represented there with some interesting insight. All that and more coming up on today's Locked On 49ers.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker with you as always at BB Peacock, at Coach Crocky. Thanks everybody for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Love our everydayers. Thanks for hanging with us, and thanks for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Today is our Winky Wednesday episode. My old radio colleague, my former podcast co-host. Let's bring on today's guest, Mr. Nick Winkler.
Winkler, come on down.
I wish there was a little better news to start today's episode, Wink, like the Seattle Seahawks not winning the Super Bowl or like a 49ers player not getting shot. But that's what we're going to talk about to start today. And there's some interesting happenings and potentially some rumblings about what could happen. Could there be some a former 49er coming back to San Francisco to help out the offense and potentially save the day? But let's start here with the report from Matt Barrows that came out that per sources, 49ers defensive lineman Keion White was shot in the ankle during an event in San Francisco early Monday morning. White had surgery and was expected to be okay. Police say that there was an altercation at an event on Mission Street. White is not believed to have been part of the altercation. So apparently a stray bullet or something like that. A quote from the 49ers, Keion White was a victim of a shooting and sustained a bullet wound in his ankle this morning in San Francisco. He is currently undergoing surgery at a local hospital. We will provide further updates when appropriate. And preliminary investigations from SFPD revealed a verbal altercation occurred between two groups inside a business. The victim was injured when shots were fired by an unknown suspect. And then one more update here from the 49ers is that Keion White was out of surgery. This was last night after being shot in the ankle early this morning in San Francisco. Surgery was considered successful. No word yet on his recovery time. So good news is Keion White is okay. Apparently has undergone successful surgery already. After getting shot in the ankle in San Francisco, wee hours, 4 a.m.-ish in the morning in the Mission District. I'm not sure. When I first heard this, guys, my first thought went to, okay, I've been out late in the Mission before. I'm a former bartender. We would do some things after work sometimes. I've been out at 4 a.m., but usually that's house party time, post party. You're at someone's house, you're amongst friends. I'm trying to think of what establishments are open at 4 a.m. and what that could look like. Most of the places at that point is like an all-night diner or something, but no specifics on what establishment it was, what business it was that they were at. But good to know that Keion White.
I bet it wouldn't be too difficult to find out. A lot of times with stuff like this, these establishments say, hey, let's get a 49er player here and put him on the flyer, show up, have him show up, give him a couple bottles. We'll pay him some money to be here, and we're going to promote the party that way. I also saw something along the lines of a report that part of this whole thing was between him and Lil Baby, a rapper from Atlanta, and there was some kind of words between just the two parties, and then next thing you know, someone was shot. So I don't know, what to believe, but got to be more careful. It's just tough when people are paying you thousands of dollars just to show up and have a good time. It's like, well, of course I'm gonna go do that. You like to say, hey man, stay out the clubs and stay out all of that, but they're paying pretty good money for you to have a good time so they can bring more people into wherever they were at.
I mean, there's a saying that nothing good happens after 2 a.m., right? And I think this kind of goes right in hand with that. And you can't even legally
pushed it back. I thought it was midnight, but
well, that was last generation. It goes up 2 hours every generation, so maybe we are at 4 a.m. at this point.
It was 2 a.m. when it was like, bars are closed, like go home. All right, you know everything's done. Don't go to the house party. Don't go to the after party. Don't go try to hang out outside somewhere. Like just bad things are going to happen. So I've always learned that once everything shuts down, you should call it. I mean, they can't even legally serve alcohol right after 2 a.m. So
Right.
I think
I
it's
don't
after
know.
like 1 a.m. in California.
No, it's 2 in California, but most places aren't serving right up until 2 anyway.
About 1:45, you get that last call. We're shutting
Yeah.
everything down, and
Early last call.
it just sounds like you said, if he's getting paid to be there, were you paid to be there till 4 a.m.? Did you stay after? I actually read somewhere that it was a private party that he was putting on for him and his friends, and that they tried to get in, and it didn't. They were basically saying no, and that's why this may have happened. I mean, again, all of this is unconfirmed reports. This is us speculating. This is us secondhand, third-hand accounts of things. And I mean, regardless, it's a terrible thing for a professional athlete to get shot in your ankle, too. I mean, that's such a terrible spot.
That seems
to
like
get
an
in.
accident.
Yeah.
Like shot in his ankle. It's like I didn't really mean to shoot you. Maybe he's just trying to scare him and fire the gun, or like because your ankle. That's not a place people.
Plaxico Burress situation, right? When he was at a club with some sweatpants and he had a gun in it and it went off and shot himself in the leg. Like it seems like something along those same lines.
Yeah, the gun and the old gun in the sweatpants. That'll get you. What world are we? What are we coming to in the world when you got to watch out for little babies? By the way, come on, babies out. Anyway,
little baby man.
Look, jokes aside, really glad Keion White looks like he's okay, and hopefully it doesn't affect his his playing in his football career, and hopefully he'll be at it at minicamp and OTAs and all that, and be a nice piece for the San Francisco 49ers this year. So you hate to have to report on stuff like this when it pertains to a football team. And you hate when the Seattle Seahawks win a Super Bowl in your building and when they hoist a Lombardi. Wink. What are your thoughts on the Super Bowl? And what were your thoughts on the 49ers appearances at the Super Bowl? Let's start with the game, though. You're the voice of the fan here. What is the vibe of a 49ers fan when the Seahawks win and smoke cigars in their locker room?
I mean, it's a terrible game, first of all. It was just kind of boring, just a lot of, 8 punts the Patriots had? I mean, it was just really bad. But, I mean, you could take it back to week 18, right, when they came into our house and beat us, and that felt terrible enough. But then to lose to them in Seattle in the playoff game, and then for them to come in and win the Super Bowl in our house, like, it's been a rough month and a half as a 49er fan, for sure. I mean, you don't want to see the Patriots win their 7th. Of course you don't want to see that. But even worse than that is your division rival coming in and winning it, like you said, smoking cigars in your locker room. There was even Fred Warner before the game, like interviewing someone sitting like right next to his locker. And it felt really, really weird to have that. I hope the Niners don't even host any more Super Bowls, just so something like this doesn't happen again.
I will say this. The weather was beautiful. It was 70 degrees here in Stockton. Obviously, I'm an hour and 15 minutes away from San Jose, Santa Clara. But it was like 70 degrees there. The grass, I've never seen the 49ers grass look that good. I mean, it looked immaculate. So that was awesome. And I have, throughout the day, a lot of people ask, oh, the Super Bowl, how'd you like it? I think I enjoyed it a little bit more than other people. It kind of reminded me of what I think are two of the best postseason environments you can have. Baseball, MLB, and NHL, where yes, it's low scoring, but every single thing matters. And that was how this game felt for the first half, where just every play mattered, every little detail, a diving, potential interception, knocking the deep ball away, all these things mattered. The issue to me was the Patriots never punched back. It's like, hey, okay, I can take this back and forth in the chess match and being strategic, but you gotta throw a few jabs or something. And the Patriots, by halftime, it seemed like they were just never going to get back into this game, even though they were only really one play away from being back into it.
Yeah, there was just no adjustments on offense by them. It was just Drake May stepping back and getting drilled, or having no time over and over again. Like, run some bootlegs, get him out of the pocket. The guy's one of the best mobile quarterbacks in the NFL, and you're just going to try to keep him in the pocket the whole game? Like, I don't know. I didn't like their play calling at all. I thought their defense played well. I mean, they kept holding Seattle to field goals, right? You kept thinking, okay, they stopped him again. Here's the chance. They're going to go down, score a touchdown. You're right back in this football game. And it just didn't happen until it was too late.
Yeah, we could have been talking a lot about Christian Gonzalez and Milton Williams and how good the Patriots defense was if their offense could have done anything and made it a game. But it became like very secondary to how good the Seahawks defense was and what they did in that game. And Croc, am I hearing it right that what you wanted to see was even more field goals, just more from the other team too in the first half?
I just would have liked to see them punch back at some point to make it more of, so I can get a little bit more of that chess match action. Because I love me a good high scoring game for sure, but I also love just teams having to be a little more strategic. And if you can think back to 49ers, New York Giants conference championship game, and obviously didn't end the way the 49ers won it, but it wasn't the high scoring, high flying, any of that. It was, but every hit on Manning mattered. Every third down that was not completed by Alex Smith mattered. The muffed punts or fumble punt returns. I mean, everything mattered. The 49ers not getting what looked like a blatant strip and fumble recovery, but they said forward progress had been blown dead. It's just, in those games, to me, just everything matters so much, as opposed to the high scoring games. Things don't matter as much because it's like, well, it doesn't matter. They're going to score anyways, So I just like some, not all the time, but I like that chess match here and there. It just was unfortunate that the Patriots just never punched back. And then that made it towards like, I guess this is a little boring.
And that's it. Like a defensive battle, great. But this felt very one-sided. It felt very much like Drake May, like the situation was too big for him. That he just couldn't overcome what was happening. Game was moving too fast. It looked like one team was much better than the other. And I'm not sure they really were. But in this game they were. And so that just wasn't fun to watch.
They were. It was not that much different than when the Seahawks beat the 49ers, right? It was just like, man, this is you have to try again another day, I think. And so Seahawks champs. And 49ers, though, involved in the Super Bowl. It was in Santa Clara, was at Levi's Stadium. A lot of festivities in the city as well. Kyle Shanahan, Fred Warner, George Kittle specifically gotten some TV time. So let's get into that, and might have George Kittle maybe hinted at a little surprise coming for the 49ers in the offseason. Mac Jones, some reports about Mac's future, and Mac's report about the 2021 NFL draft as well next. This episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by Indeed. If you've ever hired someone who looked good on paper but wasn't the right fit, you know how important that is when you want candidates that truly match what you're looking for. Trust Indeed sponsored jobs. If you're hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed's sponsored jobs puts your post at the top of the page and helps you reach the right candidates, not just any candidates, the right candidates faster. Sponsored jobs boost your post to the people who are the best match for your role, and that makes all the difference. It makes a real difference. And according to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed are 90% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. Spend more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with less stress, less time, and more results using Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show get $75 sponsored job credit to help give your job the premium placement it deserves at Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL. Just go to Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL right now to support the show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. Okay, Kyle Shanahan, Fred Warner, George Kittle, all getting some TV time at the Super Bowl. Potentially a TV future for all of them post-football career. If they want it, it's out there. Particularly Fred Warner. I almost felt like was auditioning for a future role, and he will be good at it when he decides to go into TV if that's what he wants to do. And I think he will, and I think he'll be awesome at it. And he was already in some pretty major roles covering the Super Bowl halftime and some others. So really was impressed by Fred Warner. And Croc, off the air, you said something that I did not like at all. You said he's already getting to the same age that Patrick Willis was when he retired.
How old was Patrick Willis when he retired? Couldn't have been
barely 30.
Over 30 because he played 8 seasons. I'm assuming he came out when he was 21. So he was hovering right around that 29, 30-year-old range.
The last year Patrick Willis played, 2014, was his age 29 season.
That's George Kittle right now. I mean, that's Fred Warner right now.
Yeah, he
That's
turns
Fred
30
right now.
he turns 30 in November, so he'll start the year at age 29.
I got to think that Fred feels some fire, though, after covering the Super Bowl in his house, going in the locker room, seeing these guys. Like, if anything, I think this is going to fuel him, right? This is going to make him want to come back faster, want to come back stronger, want to be back in this position, having to cover it, right? Because guys never want to hang it up, right? They never want to stop playing football. So I don't think he's in a hurry to go do that job. He's going to be great at it when he does. I think that this is going to have the opposite effect on him. I think we're going to see a re-energized Fred Warner next year with extra passion, just wanting to get back to that Super Bowl and put the 49ers where they belong, get that 6th trophy.
I was bringing up Patrick Willis's stat page just to see how old he was. And what a phenomenal run in 8 years. And really his last year, he was hurt, so only played 6 games. So to make the Hall of Fame in 7 full seasons is pretty amazing. That's how good Patrick Willis was. Rookie year, Pro Bowl All-Pro. Next year, Pro Bowl All-Pro. 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 Year 7, just Pro Bowl, no All-Pro. Then year 8, he played only 6 games and had that foot. Was it foot or ankle injury? And that was the end of his career. Hall of Fame.
We got on that topic because we were talking about how good Fred Warner looked on TV, and I was saying, hey, a lot of times when these guys retire, they are young. Like, retiring from anything is retiring, and they got to figure out what's next for their lives. For most of us, it's into our 50s and 60s. For these football players, and especially the guys that made a lot of money, Fred Warner, I'm sure a lot of money that he's making throughout his career. A lot of times when you see a guy who's, married, has a family, they're a little bit more, based and settled in and level-headed with everything. So he's probably not going to be hurt for any money. But, all right, I'm 30 years old, 31, 32 years old when I retire. What do I do with the rest of my life? So it was cool seeing him on TV. He fit right in. He looked the part. He spoke very well. I think he definitely has a future in television.
Guys, where are you at with your prostates? Because George Kittle got me fired up to get my prostate checked out with his Super Bowl ad.
Yeah, it was the relax your tight end. What a clever statement. I mean, and they got a bunch of tight ends. I think he was the only active tight end on there. Most of the guys were all retired because you got to be at a certain age where they're like, all right, let's check it. We got to do this. We got to
the 30+ tight end crowd.
If you guys haven't done it, I'm gonna, get it checked out. It's something that's easily, if you catch it early, it is most likely preventable. You can take care of it. So I did it last year. It's not fun. Like, it's not something I want to do again. The process beforehand is even worse than the actual process. But just get it done. Take care of yourself.
The prostates, the colons, fellas. Let's keep everything tidy and in tip top shape there. Kittle also speaking with, I'm not even sure what podcast he was on, but what was the quote? Do you have the quote pulled up, Croc, about what Kittle said?
I don't have the quote pulled up, but basically he talked about how, hey man, if a 13-win season is a rebuilding season, then the 49ers are going to be much better moving forward, especially when you have some old friends come back and help. And Deebo Samuel's name was brought up, and he said, I love Deebo Samuel. He's one of my favorite guys. Then Deebo's name was brought up again, and he said the same thing. So he was kind of insinuating, I would love to have Deebo Samuel back. And shoots, I would too, because I think Deebo is a difference maker. You were looking at his stats, and you said, well, he had a very Deebo-esque type season. And I was like, yeah, and those are good seasons for him. What he's been doing over the last few years, he gives you that. You're more than fine with it, just at a lower number than what he was making on that contract that he signed. Like, that's where the issue is.
Well, I think if you're a 49er fan too, I know that Jauan Jennings is going to be, getting a nice big payday after what he's done for the 49ers the last few years. And if that's right around the same as what Deebo Samuel is going to be looking for, like, who would you rather have on your football team if you're the San Francisco 49ers?
Oh, Deebo Samuel.
Right?
Jauan Jennings only playmaker. one year younger than Deebo too.
Yeah.
So. Well, more tread, I think, on Deebo's tires.
The reason why I say Deebo and don't have to think much about it is because it's just a different level of playmaking ability there. So even if they have the same amount of yards, they can even have the same amount of catches and targets. But the way in which they get it and some of the explosive nature and game-changing ability that Deebo Samuel has, like on any given play, he could just break a few tackles and take it 50 yards. Now, he may have some catches that are at or around the line of scrimmage where he gets tackled for a very minimal gain, but I'll take kind of that boom or bust type of ability because I think the 49ers drastically missed it this year.
Well, I think with a playmaker like Deebo Samuel, too, you give defensive coordinators a lot more fits than a Jauan Jennings does, right? With Jauan Jennings, you're like, all right, third down is going to go across the middle. Like, be on the lookout for that. Whereas with Deebo, you never know what Deebo is going to do. Plus, how many times did Deebo Samuel in important games or in important moments go back and return a kick? You know, like this is a guy who can change a football game with one touch. Jauan Jennings, good possession receiver, good all-around player, great blocker. Exactly what you want in a 49ers scheme. But, yeah, if I got to pick, I mean, it's pretty easy. I go Deebo Samuel.
Do you guys remember maybe a month ago, some point in the middle of the season, we talked about the lack of yards after catch for the 49ers and where did all the Yak Bros go? For the 224 football teams since 2019, Deebo's rookie year, there's been 32 teams every year. So 224 teams. The 2019 49ers ranked number 3 of those 224 teams in yards after the catch per reception. In 2022, they were 4th. In 2021, they were 5th. In fact, 2019, 2022, from 2019 through 2023, they were top 14 in yards after catch. Last year, 2024, they dropped down to 82 on the list. In 2025, of all those 224 football teams, so we're talking about 7 every team in the league 7 different times from 2019 to 2025. Where do you think the 2025 49ers ranked in yards after the catch per reception?
They weren't getting it, and it was clearly very bad. So I'd have to say that out of all of those teams, bottom 8.
Not quite, but just above 200, 198th out of 224.
That's not good.
So, yeah. That's missing from the 49ers offense. That's missing from a Kyle Shanahan offense. The way Brock Purdy plays, get the ball out of your hands, play with anticipation, play in timing. The way Kyle Shanahan calls plays, you got to have Yak Bros. And Deebo Samuel is the OG Yak Bro. And looking at his stats last year, he was targeted 99 times, caught 72 balls for 727 yards, 5 touchdowns, carried the ball a few times, and he looked exactly like the same Deebo. You might not be getting that 2021 wide back 1,400 yard receiving guy, but you're getting a guy that can create and make plays after the catch still. And so if the money has to be right when we're talking about free agent wide receivers, because I think some of the worst money spent is free agent wide receivers. So got to be careful there. But otherwise, I mean, instant offense with Deebo Samuel, and the 49ers need that. Guys, next, Kyle Shanahan, also in a suit, hair all combed up on TV. And we got some reports on Mac Jones and a report from Mac Jones himself next. Super Bowl is over, but the winter games are officially here. And if you're anything like us, you're looking for any events. And look, it's the biggest stage every 4 years. It is so fun because you got the drama of curling, and everyone becomes a curling aficionado every 4 years, right? It's the weirdest sport, but it's so amazing. And I get mesmerized by curling every time the winter games come around. Speed skating races decided by inches. The skiing is unbelievable. What human beings can do to tame Mother Nature is kind of wild. Hockey, love international hockey, and there's other niche events that become must watch when you're fully locked into the competition. FanDuel keeps the entire Olympic experience engaging from start to finish, and that's why following the winter games on FanDuel just makes sense. From medal counts to individual events to finding your angle on the sports you care about most, FanDuel gives you more ways to stay connected to all of the winter game action. The winter games are on, and there's no better way to follow them than with FanDuel. FanDuel, play your game. Kyle Shanahan, first of all, he might be too honest for TV too, because I loved his quip, a very honest quip about his 49ers, and they were asking about how to beat the Seattle Seahawks. And he basically said, did you not watch the last 2 games of us playing against the Seattle Seahawks? Because we had a tough time doing it. But he talked about how difficult they make things. And he's like, well, you want to be able to hit them deep because I think that's where you can get them. But then the pass rush is on you before you have an opportunity to do it. And guys, like, don't forget, a couple weeks ago, watching the divisional round of the playoffs, Kyle Shanahan told the entire world that his team could not, with one of the better running backs in the NFL, they could not get 1 yard in 2 tries against the Seattle Seahawks defense. And so if your quarterback needs to be protected and more time to hit some big plays and create explosives, and you can't run the ball, that tells me it's not a quarterback issue or a play call issue or a running back issue. It's got to be better up front to combat those guys, right? Like, that's my takeaway from hearing Kyle Shanahan speak on it. And it's my takeaway from watching the 49ers play against the Seahawks.
Yeah, you can't really argue that, right? I mean, when you can't run for a yard, or you're not even willing to try to run for a yard, you're going to try to run some gimmick plays to your fullback. Like, yeah, you definitely don't have the confidence in them. But for me, I think the big difference between the 49ers and the Seahawks is the front 4 on defense for Seattle. I mean, remember those days when the 49ers would send 4 and they'd get pass rush and they'd get pressure and they could do that time and time again? That's what the Seahawks just did. And they gave you kind of the blueprint, right, of like that. This is how you get it done. This frees up everybody else. This makes your linebackers and your secondary look great when you can get 4 guys against 5 and getting pressure over and over again. So yeah, the 49ers need to shore up that D-line, and I think that's the key to get back to where they need to be.
A lot of people, I've been hearing that, right, with Seattle and the blueprint. The 49ers, well,
they got it from the Niners.
Well, I would say, okay, maybe you can go with Seattle, right? If you want to go all the way back to 2012, 13, where that was kind of their blueprint when they won their first Super Bowl. It was like, hey, we got Bennett and Bruce Irvin and these guys. We're going to play one coverage, one defense, and we're going to stop you. And we're going to do it. We're not really going to blitz. We're just going to send 4. And they did a really good job of it. So maybe that is the original blueprint. We're going to hand the ball off to Marshawn Lynch, except for a 1 yard line when the game is on the line. So aside from that, we're going to hand it off to Marshawn. We're going to throw here and there, and we're going to play good defense and only rush 4. So I guess that could be the original blueprint. But
the blueprint is have better players than the other team.
Or that.
Yes, please.
Buckner, Nick Bosa, D Ford, Eric Armstead. You look damn good, and you don't have to blitz guys.
Kyle Shanahan did say that he would be surprised if Mac Jones was not on the roster next year. But multiple insiders have said that the 49ers do expect to get trade offers for Mac Jones. I think most of this is like posturing. I think the Mac Jones situation is the most obvious thing in the world, but everyone wants to point to one thing and be like, he's not going to go anywhere because you got to have a backup, or you got to trade him because you got to get him out of the building. I think it's pretty obvious. I think the 49ers have a price, and if a team meets it, I buy Mac Jones, period. What's the price? I don't know. I'm guessing it's a 2nd round pick.
Yeah, that was Kyle Shanahan saying, don't come at us with trade requests unless you're going to bring it.
Well, the 49ers are in a great spot. We're like, we don't have to give him up.
Yeah.
There's going to be a team that needs him. There's going to be a team that needs him a lot. I mean, there are, matter of fact, I was watching the Super Bowl, and I just had this thought, and I was talking about it with some of the buddies. But if I'm the Raiders, I would probably much rather give up either a 2nd or a high 3rd, and maybe a 3rd and like a 4th. And I would trade back. I would probably go defense, but I would trade a 3rd and a 4th to the 49ers for Mac Jones. Because looking at the offense that they're likely going to run, well, we've seen Mac Jones in it. It fits what he does. Now, again, I'm not saying he's going to win the Super Bowl or anything, but when I watch Fernando Mendoza, and this is not any slight at him, like, he's not a bad quarterback. He doesn't scream #1 overall pick to me. I would kind of have a hard time just taking him right there. So I would trade back. I would get a bunch of picks. I would trade for Mac Jones, have a little bridge quarterback situation going on until I can figure out, okay, let me get somebody that I feel like really could put me over the top, because I'm not sure it's Fernando Mendoza.
Derek Carr.
It's good. I think
Derek
it's good. I
Carr's
think
being unretired.
Mendoza is good.
I was
I
going to
think
bring that
Mendoza
up.
is good, and I think Mendoza fits. Mendoza fits what they want to do for sure.
Mhm.
But I don't. Number
You're
one
not a
overall
quarterback
pick.
away. If you're the Raiders,
Well,
like,
he
you need a
doesn't
lot
feel
more.
like.
Well, the Raiders just have to fold up because they're not anything away. You trade Max Crosby, the quarterback doesn't help you.
Yeah.
What helps you if you're not anything away, right? And so it's kind of you just got to build the thing. Derek Carr, by the way, his last coordinator was Clint Kubiak with the Saints, former Raider. Rumors are he might unretire. I think you got to draft Mendoza. But I had the same argument, Croc. I was talking with Matt Williamson today on the NFL Six Pack podcast, and my argument for the Steelers was similar, but it was a different quarterback. It was more like Ty Simpson, because Ty Simpson, like Mac Jones, Alabama quarterback, not the highest ceiling maybe in the world, and it was like, you're going to draft Ty Simpson in the first round? Send your second round pick to the 49ers and draft somebody else in the first round. I mean, I think it's a no-brainer. If you're the Jets, if you're the Steelers, one of these other teams, and that's not even talking about Fernando Mendoza. I mean, that, so Williamson,
Mendoza
I know,
is good.
realist, but
the last quarterback drafts, does he scream? I think the thing with him is pretty clean.
Mhm.
He's clean.
Yeah.
But I don't see, and maybe in a few years I'm gonna eat crow with this.
Yeah.
I don't view him as just this super, oh, this is number one overall pick. I mean, even with those guys, it's still risky. But you see certain things that they can do that where it kind of changes games, even with like Trevor Lawrence, right? Where Trevor Lawrence, his career hasn't been great. Heck, there's times where I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that would take Brock Purdy over him, right? But when you were taking him number one overall, it felt like, oh, this is a franchise-changing caliber quarterback. Caleb Williams, franchise-changing. Drake May have a few things to work through, but you just saw this immense talent that you can, build on. Jaden Daniels, that was still franchise-changing type guy. And when I watch Mendoza, really good. I think he's going to be a good pro.
I think there's some Joe Burrow qualities. I think that's a better comp for what you would hope that he could be, but he could also be Jared Goff, who's been a good player and been a starting quarterback in the league. Where is he on that spectrum could be a big difference.
If you want him to be Joe Burrow, you better find him Jamar Chase.
Brock Bowers?
Yeah, it's tight end though. A little different than
in the NFL
Chase.
as a receiver at this point in his career. Yeah, you got to.
Or you do right by Mac Jones.
No matter what.
You trade for Mac. You do right by him. You keep a Brock Bowers. You have the running back already. When you trade it back, now I'm putting more defense around Max Crosby, right? I'm drafting a receiver, right? Okay, let me go get a dynamic playmaker receiver that he could throw, throw the ball to. I think there's a scenario where I would go that route. But again, who am I? But I just don't see superstar. I see good quarterback, though. I do see good quarterback.
Speaking of Mac Jones, he said on, let's see, what show was he on here? I'm getting lost. There's too many different podcasts and shows that I'm like, well, who are these people that are showing up at the Super Bowl and getting all these guests? This was Monday Mornings with Mitch podcast. And Mac Jones said, quote, Kyle and I, we just have a great relationship. And he wanted me to be here with him when I was coming out of the draft. Interesting. He said, obviously it went in different ways, but that's what it's all about. Reconnecting with people that either see value in you or whatnot. So, is Mac Jones saying that someone made the call over Kyle and Kyle Shanahan didn't even get the quarterback he wanted in the 2021 draft?
Isn't that like the kept secret in Niners history?
I've all along said, and I'm still steadfast with it, and I think Mac Jones would like to believe that Kyle wanted him to be the pick, because I think a lot of people say a lot of things and a lot of people get fluffed up during the draft season. I think there is a 0.0% chance that Kyle Shanahan did not get the quarterback he wanted in the draft.
I agree.
It was his call. He said, I will select Trey Lance. And now maybe someone talked him into that, but it was his choice.
I think there was someone that talked him into the idea of it, and then once he got talked to the idea of it, I see how, I like this. But I don't think anybody was like, hey, you want Mac Jones, but nope, you're not drafting him. You're going to draft this other guy, especially with how, one, they forced Jimmy Garoppolo on him. Like that was a decision that was out of his hands. And I don't think they were going to do that again.
Just thinking back to that time, it's such a strange, like there's got to be a 30 for 30 documentary on the 2021 NFL drafts.
They're like, just
Mac Jones
Lance
clearly
now.
was a fit. He clearly was a fit. And that goes along the lines of what I'm saying with Mendoza right now. Like Mendoza, I feel like is a clear fit for what they do.
I mean, Mendoza was
you just weren't drafting Mac Jones, or I don't think he was a top 3, top 5, top 10.
That was the problem. And Mac Jones is a better prospect than Fernando Mendoza is a better prospect than Mac Jones was coming out. Mac Jones, like that's kind of the problem is people are like, oh, the Niners messed up. They should have taken Mac Jones at number 3 instead of Trey Lance. No, that's not the takeaway here. The takeaway is they should have drafted none of them, and they should have not been selecting number 3, period, because they should have traded up. They shouldn't even have taken Mac Jones at 12. They
said they had a 3rd-round grade on Brock Purdy, and that the only reason they waited is because they spent so much on Lance.
People always said that. Is it Bill Polian said he had a 1st-round grade on Tom Brady? But, but we didn't take him for 6 rounds, even though we had a 1st-round grade on a quarterback. A lot of people say a lot of things. I still think if I was commissioner of the NFL, teams would be forced to make their draft boards public the second the draft is over.
Like, take a look. This is where we had them.
This is our draft board. This is everybody's draft board. How awesome would that be to pour through the draft boards of all these teams after the draft is over?
We piss off a lot of people.
It would tick off some people potentially. Even if all the boards were anonymous. So here's 32 draft boards. This is how the NFL saw it. And so, people could compile them. It's like, okay, here's the NFL consensus board. Oh, one team had him here, and you might not even know which team it was. One team had this guy as a first rounder. Everyone's had him here. But because there's too much BS that goes on with the draft. There's people that claim things. And I'm guilty of I remember all my hits. But maybe those prospects that I really love and they didn't turn out that great, I forget about those pretty easy, and I think that happens for a lot of NFL people as well.
Selective memory.
Yeah. I always see people retweet their hits and I get it. I totally get it. Wink, thanks for joining us once again here on Locked On 49ers. Appreciate all the listeners, all the everydayers out there. Make sure you check out the Everydayer Club. You never miss an episode if you are an everydayer. So this is built for you. All you got to do is get Locked On 49ers ad-free plus members-only Discord access and more. Just head to lockedon49ers.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And Croc and I back tomorrow. And by the way, hit us up on Twitter at BD Peacock, at Coach Crocky, at Bay Area Wink, in the YouTube comments. Let us know what topics you want to talk about. It's draft season. It's free agency season. We're going to have a lot of fun here. So stick with us every day right here. Locked On 49ers.
See you.
Can't believe it.